pick up this one. Like just 1 minute.
Nitish Prabhu, can you disconnect that? So far there are a couple of chairs too, and they can put the chair there. Is he coming to the reception? Lord Krishna, how are you? Any question? I've seen him in action. That's fantastic. Play really awesome guitar. Even in the morning, weekdays also, we go to
Avatar Stottra. Pranaya Paya King song. Pralaya Payo Dijai Vritti Manasi Vedam Vihita Vahita Charita Makedam Ishavadeta Ina Sharera Twailagi Shahare Jaya Baba Jaya Bali Maharaj Jaya Baba Jaya Bali Maharaj Shaktiya Mudivaya Para Savyasi Payasi Shamita Bhavata Keshavadeta Brahmati Rupa Sarita Isha Rasi Shurane Vittavasi Kamaniyam Dasamuta Holy Holy Ramaniyam Keshavadeta Ramasayera Mahasiva Pusharishadeva Sanandavadabam Arahati Yatiyalikaramurabam Keshavadeta Harararupa Jai Bhavadisha Keshavadeta Pura Sharira Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The garland of truth. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9-44. 7:9-44. Okay, it's a nice one here. Okay. Prayena deva munaya swami mukti kama. Nam charanti vijanena parartha nishta. Naitan vihaya kripanam vimumukshayako. Nanya svarasya sharanam brahmato asye. Boliye. Mentioned.
Prayena deva munaya swami mukti kama. Maunam charanti vijanena parathanishta. Naitan vihaya krupana vimumukshayeko. Nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmato nupashye.
Prayena deva munaya swamimukti kama. Maunam charanti vijanena Naitan vihaya krupanan vimumukshayeko. Nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmato nupasye.
Okay. And who is talking here? Prahlad Maharaj. And who is he talking to? Okay. Is he qualified to speak? Why? Because of his good birth? Oh, good birth and family of demons. Because of his mature wisdom of an age? No, he's 5 years old. Now, why can he speak? The Lord Nrsimhadev, yeah. The Nrsimhadev has empowered him. And he says, because you are very kind to everybody, that should take the principle. You create the world and incarnate. Okay. So now he's talking about, he says, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, monavrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. Yeah. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter of your lotus feet. Okay. So somebody can read start reading the purport.
This is the decision of Vaishnav, the pure devotee of the Lord. For himself, he has no problems, even if he has to stay in this material world, because his only business is to remain in Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person can go even to hell and still be happy. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, Nevo Divide Praha Duratya Vetranya. O best of the great personality, I am not at all afraid of material existence. The pure devotee is never unhappy in any condition of life. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28. Narayana Parha Sarve Na Kushta Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana never feared any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. For a devotee, being situated in the heavenly planets and being in the hellish planets are equal, for a devotee lives neither in heaven nor in hell, but with Krishna in the spiritual world. The secret of success for the devotee is understood by the is not understood is not understood by the karmis and the jnanis. Karmis therefore try to be happy by material adjustment, and the jnanis want to be happy by becoming one with the Supreme. The devotee has no such interest. He is not interested in so-called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest. Rather, his interest is in the busiest part of the world where he teaches people Krishna consciousness. The consciousness movement was started for this purpose. We do not teach one to meditate in a secluded place just so that one may show that he has become very much advanced and may be proud of his so called transcendental meditation. Although he engages in all sorts of foolish materialistic activity, a Vaishnava like Prahlad Maharaj is not interested in such a bluff of spiritual advancement. Rather, he is interested in enlightening people in Krishna consciousness because that is the only way of them to become happy. Prahlad Maharaj says clearly, Nainam Tvad Asya Sarnam Brahmato Vipasya. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. One wanders within the universe, life after life, but the grace of a devotee, a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can get the clue to Krishna consciousness and then not only become happy in this world, but also return home back to Godhead. This is the real target in life. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are not at all interested in so called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest where one will only make a show of meditation. Nor are they interested in opening many schools for yoga and meditations in the cities. Rather, every member of the Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to try to convince people about the teaching of Bhagavad Gita as it is, the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. That is the purpose of Hare Krishna movement. The members of the Krishna conscious movement must be fully convinced that without Krishna, one can never be happy. One cannot be happy. Thus, the Krishna conscious person avoids all kinds of pseudo spiritualists, transcendenalists, meditators, non monists, philosophers, and the philosophers. Thank you.
Philanthropists.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's go to library, and then let's go to Isopanishad. Okay, and it says here, okay, okay. I should find the verse. Yeah, text mantra 11, Isopanishad mantra 11. Vidyam Shayas Tadvedo bhai avidyaya mrityum kirtva vidyaya mrita ashnutai. Only one who can learn the process of myths and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So Prabhupada Kidoha. So sometimes people think, okay, it says here we have to understand what is nescience, right? So we have to do stupid things, right? Yeah. We have to become Krishna conscious, and we also have to try out smoking and drinking and dating people, right? It says that, right? so many misunderstandings of the philosophy and the ideas, you know. And actually, you know, the same ideas are there in what Upadeshamrita, okay, basic principles, some basic ideas. For example, one does not advance in devotional service by imitating an advanced devotee. Actually, you fall down. Okay. It's also in Upanishad. It's also in Bhagavad Gita. It's also in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second. Yeah. So that there, maybe I don't know, maybe like not that many, maybe 35 or something basic concepts, you know, that are repeated again and again and again and again and again and again. You know, how many do you need to actually just get out of the material world? Because you know what is, you see, if you go to Indra, if you go to Gandharva Loka, right? Will you be liberated? What is Gandharva Loka like? What are the Gandharvas? How do you translate that in English?
Most beautiful and singers, dancers.
One purpose of Gandharvas, parentheses, fairies. Yeah, yeah. And so there's a whole history of fairies in the West. Yeah. In the history of King Arthur, it describes how all these things happen. The queen of the fairies is, according to Western culture, the queen of the fairies, Morgan Le Fay, Morgana. Yeah. And they live on an island above the earth. Yeah. And most of them are cowards, but you know, they're pretenders, but some of them aren't. Challenge it. So this is exactly the description given in the Vedas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Gandharvas, they live on their planet is 90 miles above the earth. Yeah. Where do most radio communication satellites orbit? How high? Man-made satellites, how high do they orbit? 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles. One engineer told me between 100 and 200 miles.
200 miles.
Yeah, that's all. Just 200 miles above the earth, and you can get a permanent orbit. Yeah, but that's Bohr, that's the earth. Bhuva, that's the sky. And Swarga, heaven. But also, if you look closer, it includes, besides Indraloka, it also includes Vaikuntha. You look closer within Vaikuntha and you find Goloka. It looks like Indraloka from the Mahabharata, but once you get there, you see, oh, you know, Vaikuntha is actually higher. Once you get to Vaikuntha, you see, oh, Goloka is even higher. Bhor, Bhuva, Swa, it's everything. Yeah, so if we go to Gandhara, if you go, what is it? Imagine a man, okay, rich in Vedic knowledge, young, healthy, happy, with dozens of beautiful wives, with lands and cows to the horizon. Okay, imagine how much that man is enjoying in this world. Take that level of pleasure and multiply it by 1,000 times, and you have the next highest planetary system. But you're not going to be liberated. Well, okay. If you go to Swarga with Indra and Varuna and Chandra, are you going to be liberated? If you go to Maharloka and Janaloka, will you be liberated? If you go to Brahmaloka, will you be liberated? Yeah. If you stay there with the right consciousness, if you run your Garba consciousness with Brahma, then when Brahma is liberated, you're liberated. Okay. If you understand Garbhodakshay Vishnu, will you be liberated?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
No. Shiradakshay Vishnu is like the prison guards. Garbhodakshay Vishnu is like the warden. And then? Yeah, Karanadakashay. He's like the minister of prisons. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it says that only by realizing all three of these Purusha avatars do you actually become liberated. Yeah. Is Shiradakshay Vishnu eternal?
Yes.
Garbhodakshay Vishnu? Mahavishnu?
Yes.
Yeah. When there's Mahavishnu is there, with the Pradhan, which is the external energy, but it's not manifest. We give the example of, okay, this is Pradhan. Pradhan. Okay, it's here with me. Then when Mahavishnu expands himself, this is the expansion of Mahavishnu. You don't see it's actually connected, if you know, it's connected to my head, right? No, it's separated, right? Isn't it separated? No, underneath. Underneath. Yeah, underneath you see that. So he expands himself as Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shiradakshay Vishnu and enters into the Pradhan and it becomes Prakriti. Hello, how are you? Yeah. Who are these people? I don't know, they all just kind of appear by accident. So if you know, you see externally, time is the external manifestation of the Parama Atma. So time is very sophisticated. Yeah. So only when you come to Mahavishnu, is it actually permanent position, transcendental position. And what is the rasa there? What's it like? Who goes to Mahavishnu Loka in the Krishna book?
Dasya.
Yeah.
Reverence and having servicing mode.
Yeah. Okay. Arjuna is trying to save the sons of the Brahmana, right?
Yes.
And so then Krishna takes him to sea.
Yeah, Mahavishnu.
In the beautiful description, they finally arrive there is a great transcendental ocean, the causal ocean, where there's always a storm just about to happen. Just before the storm happens, right? The atmosphere gets thick and the clouds are starting to come, and it's a very exciting moment. There's going to be wind blowing on your face and everything else, and so forth. And what did they see? What did they see? Have you read the Krishna book? They saw. Huh? No, that's back in the material world. This is the Karana. This is the Karana. Yeah. It's an ocean of causes. In the spiritual world, there are no causes. Nobody does anything for a reason. Everybody does something because they want to. Yeah. I want to go to the material world, I go. Nobody caused me. Yeah. So they saw a great palace, with thousands and thousands of columns. Okay. And in that they saw Ananta Sesha. And what color is his body? White. And his throat with thousands of capuchins, hoods, with fire coming out, with bluish throat. And on the bed of Ananta Sesha was Mahavishnu lying there, and he was being served by Lakshmi, Sunanda, Nanda, and they all were chanting beautiful prayers, So it's all Shantaras. Shantaras. It's like if you're in the temple in the morning and the curtains open our Iskcon temples and then Govindam Hari Purusha Bhajami Govindam Hari Purusha Bhajami. But it doesn't stop. It keeps on going and 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 going. Yeah. Oh God, you are so great. God, you are great and good. And not only are you good and great, but you are greatly good and great. And not only you are goodly great and greatly goodly. Yeah. There's no service. There's just appreciation, wonder. In the Bible, talking about this, about it. Yeah. Yeah. So some living entities are, why not? And is eternally liberated, singing the glories of the Lord, and appreciating how great He is. Yeah. Why are the Brahmins' sons stolen?
He wants to see which form of Krishna.
Because he wanted to see this form of Krishna who incarnated in the material world, so he brought him there. Okay. And then, Chaitanya Charitamrita, one purport I remember, it says, by worshipping Mahavishnu, one is promoted to the worship of. I didn't want to hear names. Yeah, Vaikuntapati. And this is a different rasa. There's some feeling of service. Service starts to enter there. It's like wanting to serve them. And it's a very nice atmosphere. Lakshmi, how old are Lakshmi and Narayan in Vaikuntha?
Probably 16 years.
Huh?
16 years or something?
Yeah, about 16 years old. Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, every year they would have Seniors Day, and all the students who were graduating, maybe 3 days before the classes were over, they'd have buses for all of us and some of the teachers, and we would go to Disneyland. Anybody here been to Disneyland? Okay, all right. When I was a hippie back in college, one of my friends was describing he went to Disneyland on LSD. Right? Yeah. And he said he was going there looking at everything, looking at Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse looks like Juggernaut, by the way. Kids bowing down to Mickey Mouse because he looks like Juggernaut. And then suddenly he realized that nobody was smiling. He started looking around and realized that nobody was smiling. They were supposed to be happy, right? They had all these external resources and so on. Yeah. But anyway, the Vaikuntha is like a Disneyland that is maybe like 20% finished, right? There's so many different things that Krishna and everybody, they want to do, right? To have, let's do this, let's build this, let's do that, let's do this. Radha and Krishna are the most marvelous. Radha and Krishna are the most marvelous thing anywhere. But even they are marveled by the beauty of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Radha says, look, Krishna, see this, see that. Yeah, Sri Vrindavan Dham, always increasing. So when we were there, it was all, that time of the day, all of our class was there. All of us were like 16 years old and everything else. There were some adults just to kind of keep things in order and stuff. And they also were relaxing and being teachers. So that's like Vaikuntha. Everybody is 16 years old. Who's the dearmost mother in Vaikuntha? Lakshmi. Yeah, Lakshmi is like everybody's, mother. But they're very young, very nice place. It's like going to an amusement park for Krishna, and everybody just youth with no problems, no responsibilities, everything taken care of. by worshipping Vaikuntapati, one is promoted to the worship of Leela avatars. Yeah. What is Hanuman's rasa with Ram?
Dasya. Dasya with Sakya. Sakya with Dasya.
Yeah, Dasya with some Sakya. After Hanuman came back and he found Sita, what happened?
Rama wants to hug him.
Rama embraced him. And he said, we have always been known as four brothers, but from now on we should be known as So it's like some man, he's always in government service, and okay, there's a big project, we have to build this dam, it's gonna take 10 years or 5 years, so we want you to be in charge of it. You to take responsibility for this, and so always has some kind of very responsible post in the government. And he has a driver, right, who's been his driver for the whole time. They've been together and stuff. So anyway, the driver pulls up in front of the assembly house there, and Master tells him, he comes out and gets in the car, and he says, Robert, let's go for a little spin through the park before we go home. Take a little side trip here, no rush. And so when they're going along, and then the driver chauffeur is asking him, sir, what happened today? Did that person do this again? Sir, you have to be, you can't put up with that, sir. You must do this and that. So yeah, that's, Dasya Ras, a little bit of, very interesting. Yeah. That's Leela avatars, And then by worshipping Leela avatars, then Dwarka, Mathura, Goloka. This is all Brihad Bhagavatam, read that.
Ayodhya.
Ayodhya is back down with the Leela avatars.
Ayodhya and
Mathura, Dwarka, Vrindavan.
Yeah.
So when Gopal Kumar comes into Vrindavan, finally after this long journey, chanting his rounds better and better. Yeah, because you experience all this when you're chanting your rounds. He comes in there maybe like 10 o'clock in the morning or something. And when you go into the Riley's Auto Parts shop to get a new, what do you call it, windshield wiper for your car, okay? And you come and you talk to the guy, and he's like talking with what kind of car, he's looking outside and talking to you. His mind is not there, right? He's talking to you and stuff, and you can see his mind is someplace else. So Gopal Kumar, when he got to Vrindavan, nobody had a mind, right? Everybody he talked to, it's like, where were their minds at 10 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. They were with Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys in the fields. And little boys were running back and forth with messages. Somebody forgot this, somebody needs that. Here's the snack. And they could hear the sounds coming. So their minds in the evening when Krishna came back, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Gopijana Mahabha Girivadi Dharani Shodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Kirtamashan. You know Kirtamashan? It's a Gujarat. It's like the cowherd boy with like this, that deity. Prabhupada had him in his room one time, Kirtamashan. He said it's the little boy who thinks he's a big man. So Krishna comes back with his friends, and he's waving at everybody, the mayor, people like that. Yeah. So he's a little boy, but he's thinking he's the big guy and stuff. So Raja Jana Ranjana, he's enlivening everybody with his consciousness. So Lord Shingadev, we've been studying the last few days. Where is he from? Is he from Goloka? Yeah, no.
Leela.
Yeah, he's a little bit more, different kinds of rasas and these things. And these pastimes are so much fun that Radha and Krishna, they want to engage in them eternally. Even Radha and Krishna love playing Lakshmi and Narayan, Lakshmi and Varaha. And so you find all these pastimes in Vrindavan. Where do we find Ram Leela in Vrindavan if you go there? In Ramanreti? Huh? Yeah, Kamyavan. Kamyavan. Yeah. Right near Kama. is Ashokban. Have you gone to Ashokban? It's small, very nice. Yeah. And then right next to that is Setu. Yeah. And when I went there, there's so many monkeys. You go many places, but they're just monkeys. They just go by maybe 15 monkeys and more monkeys. And why are they all there? Yeah, well, there must be some kind of herb there or something that attracts them. Yeah. Saying, no, this is where Ram Lila takes place. Yeah. So this is Nishingadev, right? Nishingadev appears, and every year we have these festivals, right? And so if we just, Prabhupada said, if you can do it, I can give you a reason for having a festival every day. There's so many things like that. So you just become absorbed with these different kinds of activities and festivals like that. And then we become purified, right? One person, he said that in his town, in the summertime it was hot and stuff. They were working, but he said everybody would have their dinner, and then down on the edge of the river there was an amphitheater type place, an outdoor place. And every night, a different family would have responsibility for putting on some cultural program, And then when it came like Ramayana and all these kind of Ramayana, these kind of things, there would be several nights. It would be like Mahabharata or something. And he said everybody would have dinner. They watch these things until it got late. Then you take rest about 10, 11 o'clock at night. Have a siesta during the daytime, and nobody was tired. And he said all day long they would be talking about these dramas and stuff and what had happened while they were working and arguing about things and so on. He said it was just transcendental. Maybe you experience these things, right? Transcendental world. When I went to Manipur first time to Soup Down, we were just absorbed like that. All the girls you had. Okay. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yeah. In Manipur, how many girls can drive a car? Very rare. How many here can dance 10 hours of Raj Leela from memory? In Manipur, it's just 5 years old. The boys start learning how to play the drum, the girls start learning. And you can see the little children. We were doing this, went to one Raj Leela there. It was so nice. They organized it for us and our guests. It was Basant Ras. And the teachers were all dressed up in gopi ornaments. And they had their students from different ages. And the little girl who played Krishna, uh, her parents had to donate, I think, 10,000 rupees or something to get the role. And the Srimad Maharaj, organized all these things very nicely, very practical. Yeah. So everybody was dancing, and the little girl, they were starting off at like 5 years old or something, right? Very small girls and stuff. The teachers were, kind of guiding them and stuff, but they were so serious about it. For them, it is art, religion, and science. Everything is very specific, it's very artistic and scientific. And if you are pure in your character and everything else, Krishna will come through you. Krishna will come through you. We were doing the Ras Leela, this whole Manipuri thing, traveling in the U.S. maybe 3, 4 times. And we did the Basant Ras, maybe 15 minutes like that, last thing. So anyway, we went to the Atlanta temple and we did the program there during the week, like on a Tuesday night or something. And there are 3 houses, side by side. They have 3 houses. The little one's a temple, 2 ashram spaces. Then right across the road, there's a park section. It goes maybe like, a long way, at least 8 blocks. And the other side is the other road. So it's one way each side. In the middle there's this thing. So we were doing this whole process, and we have an outside place where the hill kind of comes down. So we did it outside, and a lot of people came, a couple of community members. And it was summer, so it was very fresh, very nice, And then the girls who were the gopis, they had to come out of the house, dressing there and coming. And there were always pine needles, right? In the streets. So I was looking, so when they were coming out to get ready for their part, it was already going on. They were walking barefoot through these pine needles and holding each other's hands. And, you could see this is what it was like when the gopis were coming, to see Lord Chaitanya would hear the poetry of 3 people. Who are they? Chandidas, yeah, Jayadev, and Vidyapati. And they all discussed Rasa Lila before Lord Chaitanya. They discussed it. So I think maybe it's Chandidas. One of his poems, he says, it's getting very late. You know, the people have finished washing the pots and putting them away. The little children are already asleep in the shadows, and the whole house is kind of closing down. And you know, the adults are still talking about things and so on. But then, way in the distance, out in the forest, you hear the sound of a flute playing. Somebody's way in the forest out there playing the flute, and most people don't really notice what's happening. But the gopis, 12, 13, 14, they kind of look at each other and they kind of disappear into the shadows, and they know that's Krishna. Krishna's calling us. Okay. So then they, climb out the windows and fall over their heads and escape, hold each other's hands, run off in the forest. But it's not a nice time, Shantidas says. The rain is threatening to fall. You know, already the wild beasts are coming out in the forest. The jaguars and leopards. Yeah. And along the path there are thorns and brambles and bushes. And one gopi, a new sari, which is so beautiful, but it's being caught by the bushes and stuff and so on. And the pathway is some stones. Yeah. So it's not at all a time for a young girl to be out alone like that. But she's so anxious to go and meet her lover. She's ignoring all of these things. So Chandidas says, Vrindavan is a very strange place. Only in Vrindavan does the honey run after the bee. Only in Vrindavan does the honey run after the bee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is all these different Leela avatars. And do the monkeys in Ram Leela know about Madhurya Ras? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Mother Yashoda sees this baby Krishna. This baby Krishna is really strange. Maybe you have children like this also, very strange. Who are these children? Yeah. Let me see if you ate dirt. Yeah. So she thinks she's gone nuts or something. I'm becoming schizophrenic. No, you're not. Yeah. So one day she sees, Gopal out there, and he's taking this very nice yogurt, and he's giving it to monkeys. He's giving yogurt to monkeys, and they're coming up and taking it. And she says, "What are you doing? You're giving this perfectly good yogurt to monkeys." And he says, "Oh, in my previous life, they did so much service for me, but even though I was a prince, I was in the forest, I couldn't give them anything. And so now I'm very rich. I have all this yogurt, and I can give them some reward. And to see how anxious they are to come and receive the reward from me." So Mother Yashoda is thinking, "God, who is this kid?" Yeah. So the monkeys who died for Ram, so distributing books in front of Walmart, going door to door, stuff like that. Yeah, that's what their reward was. Some of them took Moses monkeys in Vrindavan. Yeah, and they were able to get yogurt from Krishna's hands and so on. Yeah. So all these avatars, people see different things and different experiences. Yeah. Was Lord Nrsimhadev the first avatar? Which avatar was Prahlad worshipping? Was he the first one? There was an avatar before him that Prahlad would have known about and would have worshipped.
He was existed before.
Keshavadrita. Sukararupa. Yeah. So he already had appeared and he had saved the earth and so on. So Prahlad, in the movies, in Bollywood movies, he's doing it. I saw him there. Yeah. But yeah, he would have known about him, and he would. But this is a new avatar. No one ever even suspected something like this. Yeah. And then again, he was so angry that nobody could approach him, not even Lakshmi, right? Yeah. So very, very interesting pastimes and a lot of subtle relationships. We're talking about what is Prahlad's position? Is he like us? You know? And are we faced with the same thing? You know, so many people write to me, whatever, contact me, you know, advice about this and that, so many things. And there are a lot of people who are becoming devotees, they got a book or something like that, visiting the temple. They live a long way away from any community. You know, they don't have much of a chance. Maybe they can maybe twice a month, like once every 2 months or something, they get a chance to go and, you know, go to the temple and stay and do things like that and stuff. You know? And they're working for some unusual, difficult position. And, you know, Vibhishan said being a devotee of Vishnu in Lanka was like being a tongue surrounded by sharp teeth. You know? Yeah, you bite your tongue sometimes, right? You know, you got to be careful. So he had to be, you know, being a devotee, you know, very difficult in Lanka. So yeah, so we're all confronted with different circumstances in our life, which are nothing but projections of things that are happening in the spiritual world. But you understand, is what is this? Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a comedian, Jonathan Winters, really good guy. He would give him a stick, right? And he would go on for 10 minutes, just one thing after another, just completely turning it into different things. A fishing rod, you know, all funny and this unbelievable. This is stick. Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. So what do we see? Yeah. I can turn it over and make it into a little house for children, right? It's like, what do you see? Yeah, this is all coming from Buddhi, from the intelligence. Our intelligence organizes these things and sees different things. The psychology is very nice. You can study psychology, it's very nice. I've heard of this in courses on perception, and you see, wow, you know, we see what we, you know, what we want to see, what our perception is trained us to see. There's a story that when the first foreigners came to, I think it was the East Coast, the West Coast, United States, they came in boats, and the indigenous people couldn't really see them, right? Because they could not put together the concept of something that big floating on the water with people. So it was, you know, they had a hard time seeing them. Yeah, 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 taking something. Oh, that's what it is, right? You see something there. Yeah, yeah. So everything we're experiencing here is simply a projection of the spiritual world. And then the modes of nature give it a past, yeah, give it a present, and give it a future, and they make it real because of that. Yeah. But everything here is just, you know, there are nothing here. It's reflection. Yeah. The mode of goodness is an accurate reflection, and the mode of passion is distorted, and the mode of ignorance is the complete opposite. Yeah. So Nrsimha is very, very nice. And the point here is finally finish off the point is that he's saying, I don't want to leave this place. I just want to, you know, cultivate, you know, cultivate my knowledge of nescience. What it means is you have to experience the negative aspects of the material world, not try and experience the good aspects. Okay, maybe you're going to do that by eating too much. Okay, I'm going to prove the material world is bad by eating too much. You know? No. So usually we can understand by hearing and seeing. We did a movie on Light of the Bhagavatam, Oscar Others from Peru. And it was very nice. It's really incredible. I've seen it like 52 times. This movie, maybe we showed it here. It's called Light of the Bhagavatam Peruvian Reflections. And he just took it, and he said he does a lot of stuff. He's won, you know, international awards and stuff. But this one, he said it was just so different. It was just, you know, he read the Light of the Bhagavatam and he extracted out different artistic aspects of it and stuff that, you know, I didn't, you know, appreciate, but he was seeing all these incredible things. And he works in iconographic formats. He doesn't have a storyline, a little bit of a storyline, but mostly he just takes images and stuff, you know. So every time you look at it, it's like a meditation. Yeah, yeah. And each time it's different, a contemplation. He's giving you like a whole experience of things. You know. And it's so incredible. It's a very, very nice movie. Really incredible. Like I said, just talking about it, I want to see it again. I've seen it 52 times. But in it, it's the light of the Bhagavatam's talking about these wars and all these horrible things. So he got images from these film archives of different wars in World War I, World War II. And he had one of all these children crying, this little small children just sitting there crying and stuff. And it was a newsreel from Hanoi when it was announced that Ho Chi Minh had died. Ho Chi Minh had died, and so from Hanoi, all these school children were just crying and stuff. And so we were thinking maybe, wow, this is maybe too much. We saw it for the first time, and what of our opinion? We thought, well, wow, this is too much, all these scenes. But then we were saying, no, he's done what he should do. He's shown enough for us to realize. And we're hearing about the war in Ukraine, right? And they're presenting it like a football game or something. And oh, the good guys, wiped out. Well, of course, we're in favor of Ukraine, right? They should win. They should defeat our enemy, Moscow, and Putin's an evil guy. Yeah. But then somebody else, Putin's going to feed all these people who live in the snow and have nothing to eat, so he needs oil. He has to industrialize. Okay, so he feels these guys are not sharing the oil, so I'm going to take it. Yeah, look at different perspectives. Who's the hero? Who's the bad guy? Oh, today the Ukrainians discovered a new thing, and they killed, for 3,000 Russian soldiers within 45 minutes with this new technique. Oh, well, isn't that wonderful? Yeah, when you think about it, it's terrible. There's one movie, and somebody said it's a threat of a nuclear war and stuff like that, and so on and so on, go back and forth. One black guy is a general, and the president of the United States is on the radio to his airplane to try to do this and that and talking about it. And then the black general says, Mr. President, you have to understand there are no military geniuses. There are no military geniuses. He said, yeah, I'm a soldier. And he said, and you also have to understand the enemy is not the Russians. The enemy is war. Yeah, the enemy is not the Russians. The enemy is war. Yeah. And this is somebody who's mature enough. This is the Eisenhower. Eisenhower hated war. Patton loved it. When the Germans surrendered, Patton said, "We got the army, Ike. Let's head for Moscow. We know we're going to have to fight with them. Let's do it right now. Yeah, we're all here. The army's here. Yeah, it's ready. More war. And other people didn't want it. So Eisenhower stopped it. And they had the Cold War with very little damage. Yeah. So anyway, this is all these avatars, and so we have to cultivate knowledge. You to read these things and understand these things and not turn away and just contemplate them. And yes, you realize you do this and you realize that they're giving us this movie, Tom Cruise movie version of what's happening in Ukraine, but that's not what it's like. These are real people, being blown up and stuff like that and so on. And it's just not nice. Is violence ever good? Who knows this question? Is violence ever good? She says no.
At times, as needed.
Prabhupada says that violence is never good, but it is sometimes necessary, to defend the weak against the strong when good arguments fail. One time we did a whole lecture program to the Secret Service of Peru. One devotee's father was the head of them. So we went to their office, we came in there, this father embraced his son in the lobby and said, "Go on in, I'll come in right after." We went in, and there were like 40 police guys all sitting at their desks with short hair, thick necks, with their hands folded on their desks, like this. It's quiet. And maybe 15 police ladies, they all had their hair in the same kind of one thing with the same kind of purses. It's like, policewoman. yeah, it was. They were all sitting there, their hands at their desks. And so we kind of came in, and three of us and kind of, sat down and put our hands on our desks. And after a while, maybe just a couple minutes, his father came in and everybody went to attention. You know, and he said, ladies, gentlemen, this guy is going to enlighten you about the character of a policeman. Listen, okay, so everybody's, you know, it's like most attentive audience I had. Anybody falls asleep. So I took my Lord Ashram. It was very good. It was a good perspective. Who are we? But then one guy asked for questions, and one guy said, if you have to kill somebody during an encounter and there's no way to avoid it, do you get bad karma like that? So yes, people understand karma now. Yeah. So I said, violence is never good, but sometimes it's necessary, like this and that. And I said, so no, but you won't feel good about it. And he nodded, and I noticed in the audience 2 more people nodded. You know, yeah, they've been through it. Yeah, it's just had to do it, but no, you're never going to feel good about it. Yeah. So many people. Yeah. So it's, yeah, cultivating knowledge. So if you don't cultivate knowledge of what is the material world, then you won't have this impetus to preach. You kind of think everybody looks happy, you know, why should I approach them? These people are happy and peaceful and enjoying themselves. Why should I disturb them by talking about Krishna consciousness? Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah. But mostly, they're unhappy. Yeah. And maybe trying to convince themselves they're happy. Yeah. But even when they're happy, they know this is not going to last. I'm going to do this and that. Yeah, this and that, so on. So it's a matter of, just waking people up. One last thing. We had a temple in San Jose, we still do, Vaisheshika. And we had a house in kind of a upper middle class area, a little more affluent. We had a house there. And maybe like 8 devotees living in the house, different 2 grihasta couples and people. And the temple was like 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks away on the main street, and it was in a small strip mall. And very nice way it started, really nice. So one day I was walking back from the temple, 4 or 5 blocks. It was springtime. It was still, it was still a little cold, and this and that was happening. And there was an old guy raking leaves. And I was dressed like a devotee. And our neighbors didn't like us because they thought, the Hare Krishnas are going to move in, the property values are going to drop. They'll bring all their low-class people. So Hare Krishnas. So I was going along there, and he kind of looked at me. And then I said, how's it go? So I say, it was again, Krishna was preaching to me. Put yourself in a position where your opportunity to preach, and Krishna will help you. Don't do it all ourselves. You can't do it. Try your best, and then Krishna will help you. I said, so just spontaneously, I said, it's a nice day, the sun is shining, right? And he said, huh? Because every day was cloudy and cold and everything else, but today the sun had come out and stuff like that. So among luminaries I am, light of the sun. Yeah, so this Krishna, raised his consciousness. And next I said, spring is just around the corner. Yeah. Among seasons I am. Yeah. And then he kind of laughed and he said, well, it's a few more weeks until spring, lad. Yeah, we can expect a little more cloud. And he kind of went back to work smiling. And I noticed, wow, this Krishna just took him from like pantheism, discussing God and nature and all these kind of things. Krishna had taken him up to the point where he was, maybe that's all he's ready for. Pantheism, Brahman, universal form. We can talk about these things. First step in God realization. Next chapter is the Lord in the heart, talking about inspiration, intuition, this kind of stuff. Yeah? Pure devotional service, a changing heart. That's all there is. Preaching, different levels, different kinds of people, avatars. Yeah. So very, very nice program being here. I want to thank everybody for your association the last few days. And tomorrow we're going to go for a few minutes. We're going to go for a short trip, but we'll be right back. You can come with us. We're going to go to Boise, Idaho. So it's a different atmosphere there. It's very interesting. So any questions or comments, complaints? I didn't get the hearing aid, so maybe somebody's going to have to repeat what you say.
Maharaj, very nice class. Thank you, Maharaj. Can you tell us a little bit more about Shvetadvipa?
About what?
Shvetadvipa.
Shvetadvipa. Wow, I don't know too much. Yeah. I think there's a Shvetadvipa in Goloka or something describing the Brahma Samhita. And there's Shvetadvipa where, I guess that's where, who's that? That's Shiradaksha Vishnu? And Shiradaksha Vishnu. And Lord Brahma goes there, and it's an ocean of milk on the shores like that. So I don't really know too much.
In the spiritual world, Shvetadvipa, is it close to Vrindavan, Maharaj?
I think there appears to be two, like, I think it's Sudama, right? He's a Gopa, and Krishna rides on his shoulders sometimes when they're playing Goloka. When Krishna expands into Vaikuntha, he becomes Garuda. So Garuda is an incarnation of Sudama. Yeah. And then when Krishna goes into the material world, then Garuda in Vaikuntha becomes Garuda in the material world, incarnates. Yeah. So Shvetadvipa, there may be one in each material world which exists while that material world exists, and then, it's just, it's always existing on the outskirts of Goloka. Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a Shivsagar in Vrindavan. There's one place where there's an ocean, a big lake, and that's where Krishna showed his pastimes, and Radharani became a Lakshmi. And one old man said when he was a boy, one time it all turned white. Yeah. And Lord Chaitanya was there. Yeah. There was no electricity. It was a really interesting place. Yeah. Yeah. So they're all in everything's in Vrindavan, everything. Yeah. But you'll find, Glen Allen. No, it's here. Everything's there. But you become absorbed in one thing like that. Yeah. Ocean of milk. Different planets. Some planets have oceans of liquor. Some planets have oceans of ghee. Yeah. On this planet, is ghee a solid or a liquid? On our planet, it's usually kind of solid. But if you go to Venus, which is closer to the sun, it's going to be a gas. And our planet is alcohol, a gas, or a liquid. It'll evaporate. It'll evaporate. But if you go to Mars, which is colder, it's liquid. So these different planets, and there are rings around the Earth, right? Yeah. If you look at it from the point of view of demigods, things are happening much faster. Yeah. So look at the Mars; it's going around. It's going like this in the sky. Yeah, like that, epicycloid, because it's going around the sun, right? So from our point of view, it looks like it's going backwards and forwards and stuff going around. It's like a light on a bicycle tire is going like this. It's called epicycloid, retrograde. But if you speed that up to the point of view of the demigods, it becomes spinning around very fast, and it becomes a solid ring-shaped island. Oh, this is my speculation. When I would do this, Sadhguru would go crazy. And later on, he would check it out, and sometimes he would prove it was false, and sometimes he would adopt it and say, yes, yeah. And so then, as it goes around the sun, it creates a distance, right? And so then there's a certain width and a certain height and stuff, and so, that's what the universe looks like from the point of view of demigods. Yeah. Okay, some of those, there's oceans of milk, some of there's oceans of ghee, some of there's oceans of alcohol, some of those, different atmospheres. And they didn't have any spaceships. I don't think they did. No, they didn't have that. So maybe, I don't know, any other final questions or comments. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Back home, right. Thank you all very much. Haribo.
Hanumat Presaka Maharaj.